Hello my friends, this is my King Tiger. Yep, I built it 6 years ago and I like it a lot. And this is my model to copy. Maybe not at all, but some elements for sure. The same version, the same operational area and period, and the same camo and winter wash I would like to make on my current project. Let's get started. It's a standard procedure to recall what was in the previous episode, so whoever watched it knows, and for those who are just joining, this is a quick information that I did some work on the steel surfaces, put new welds and did some battle scars. After today's episode it will look like this, but let's start from the beginning. I spent some time on preparing the spare tracks that are characteristic for this vehicle. As I said, as a model I used the King Tiger that I built couple years ago. In my opinion it's good enough that I decided to take some solutions into this project, so the arrangement of individual tracks will be just copied. First of all, you need to drill out all the plastic lines. It's impossible for them to be left without holes. This operation requires a good drill bit and some practice, as even small changes in the drill guide will damage the parts. I used the Tamiya tool and thanks to that the work went much faster. I had to finish the middle piece with a hand drill because the first one was too short to reach this point. I use a Trex kit to hang the links. Of course we also have these elements in the model, but here they are more subtle. After cutting and cleaning, just stick them on. I placed the individual pieces of tracks on hangers and then glued them with thin glue to keep their shape. In addition, I prepared pins to insert into some holes. A piece of copper wire was cut to size with RP Tools tool and added to the heads I cut out from unnecessary links. Simple work, but thanks to it the tracks looks exactly like in the photos of real tanks. Despite the fact that most of the photos don't show this element, the photos from the war of course, I decided to use the machine gun holder on the commander's turret. Once again I reached for the printed set from Trex and truly speaking we'll use a few more during today's episode. The whole handle is very delicate, but therefore it can be set in any position. I stick mine permanently to the ring. If I can make a suggestion, be careful with cutting it off. To finish the look of the whole turret, I completed the welds around small elements with the same technique as before. The only difference is that you have to do it for smaller parts, so the amount of green stuff must be much smaller. And this is all for the turret. The only thing left is the machine gun barrel end, but it will be added later. Now some work on the hull. First the fenders. I planned to make metal ones, but you know, I'm lazy guy, so they were left in the foil for some next model. Maybe for Eureka Tiger, Who knows? But before I start to work with plastic fenders, I will add the missing brackets first. As you can see, I cut them off only in the places where they are visible, so what? Of course I will use the Trex set again. I copied the places where they need to be glued from the plastic part, and with a ruler I drew a line for fenders that will remain on the model. I glued the cut-off parts to the fuselage with CA glue, and that's all the work with them. I added more Trex parts to the engine plates. Yeah, I know, again. I still have to weld them on to make them look really realistic. Now it's time for tools. Before I started to put them on the model, I cut off all the clamps to replace with the more accurate ones from the printed set. I know, it looks like a crude ad, but please forgive me. If the parts looks good, why not to use them? This is what they are for. What I like about this set are the different options: open, closed and two types, bigger and smaller. And I'm not saying this to make the producer happy, but in fact this set is really good and the clamps look great. Another set are fire extinguishers. I decided to use two. One would be normally clipped into the bracket and the other would be loose on the engine plate. It seems to me that it will look pretty cool, especially as it's not often found on the models. A large set with handles will be perfect for replacing the plastic parts from the model. The printed ones are more delicate, but at the same time much more accurate. From the Aber set I took only the metal rods and drilled them a bit to connect the two sections. There will be a mix of metal and 3D printing. I disassembled the shower holder to make it more damaged after a close hit. A piece of metal that I previously heated with fire is perfect for this. It's easy to bend into right shape. The fenders are not glued yet, so it's much easier to work on them. I decided to add some hit marks, which is obvious considering that they were made of thin metal. It's enough to drill holes and give them the appropriate shape, and to be more specific, just tear the edges a bit with a modeling knife. In addition, I slightly bent the edges, which also had a good effect on the final appearance of the fenders. Of course, it's worth sanding the inside slightly before to make them thinner. I even made hits of machine gun bullets that did little harm but left a mark on the fender. Now I can prepare the towing cables and the one for pulling the trucks. Of course, it cannot be any different than using the Eureka XXL product, which are the best of this type on the market. I cut off the ends and prepared them for gluing to the ropes. This is easy and quick job. The appropriate rope that forms easily is basic. Unfortunately, the stuff you can find in the models are good only to make the throw to the trash. It's important to choose the right size. While the length of the towing cable with the ends is known, the length of the thin rope is a bigger problem. So I measured what Meng gave and used it to build my cable. The whole procedure is exactly the same as before. The difference is that this rope is much smaller and you have to be more careful and not to break the ends. The interesting arrangement of such a long piece is not that easy and it's best to make the test before gluing it permanently. Of course, before recording this fragment I did so in order to wonder how it should be formed in front of the camera. Therefore I could immediately afford to stick the rope in the hangers. Of course, the place of impact will be properly arranged. It's enough to cut the rope and shape it properly, a bit of damage on the hanger and it's ready. If anyone asked why I'm gluing the rope now and not painting it separately, the answer is very simple. This is easier to do at the construction stage than after painting. Any failures after sticking to painted surfaces will result in making additional paint corrections. And at this stage it's much easier to repair even a little bit of glue that could leave a mark on the surface. I took the shackles off the hangers on the rear engine plate. To assemble them with ropes or handles, you need to cut off the middle element, which is actually a movable log, and assemble the whole thing. Finally, attach the previously cut element. Now I can also wrench the towing cables and form them on the tank. With a bit of glue I stick them to the model in several places. Of course you have to take care of an interesting arrangement, so good option is the photo from the war period. You probably noticed the twisted cable on the side. It's quite rare, but I like it the same as chains on my models. And here shit happened. The truth is, 3D printed parts are very fragile. Operating too hard will result in damage. Fortunately, I was able to fix it easily. The rear rope isn't glued because of the place where it's laid. The reason are the exhaust pipes, which are attached only with the blue tack. Everything will be painted separately. Here, in contrast to the rope laying at the front, it will be much easier to mount it after painting. A bit of jam for the end. Metal barrel from master model. It's very clear how precise the job is and what effect can be achieved by adding such a sophisticated accessory. Just glue it into the hole. Earlier I mentioned the tip of the machine gun, which I need to stick in the hole on the turret. Here it is. To do everything right, I put a few welds around the parts on the sides of the fuselage, and that was the last piece of the building stage. Now just putting a few accessories on the engine plate and I can take the final photos. If you would like to see them, I invite you to my Patreon where they will be published. Of course you will also find more interesting materials there, as well as access to videos. Now you can watch the next episode about the work on the King Tiger project without any ads. In addition, I report on other projects that I work on at the same time and which I show in public only for my patrons. Check it for free and join our group. And for now, many thanks to my patrons for the support they give me all the time. Make sure to like and subscribe. What will be shown in the next episode? I will continue the build, but this time a motorcycle and figures. Of course there will be also open the box videos so that everyone can see the set I will be working on. And stay tuned for the opportunity to win the extra modeling stuff for King Tiger model. That's all for today. See you next Monday. Cheers!